I'll introduce myself. I'm Alexandra Harper. I am the founder of Women of Culture, which is a New York City-based community designed to connect and inspire women through engaging and meaningful conversations through the arts. And I'm so excited to be here with Katie Livornese. I hope I'm saying that right. Who is from S.H.E Globl, and she is going to be talking about how to create amazing, globally celebrated events and how to empower more women through events like hers. So I guess we'll just dive right in. And Katie, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you do exactly with S.H.E Globl.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for that introduction. And it's wonderful to be here. I know I told you when we spoke earlier that I think your platform is absolutely fantastic. So anyone that lives in New York should certainly investigate it. So I'm Katie Livornese, and I work for S.H.E Globl Media, which is the company behind the global women's empowerment company, S.H.E Summit. Those of you from New York may be familiar with it. It is an annual event that takes place in New York once a year. It convenes about 1,000 individuals, mostly women, and it's watched by a live stream by over 100,000 people. So I'm currently the director of global events and partnerships at S.H.E Summits, or at S.H.E Globl. So in addition to actually being the director of the annual event that takes place in New York City, I also execute other events around the world with global corporations. So S.H.E Summit kind of follows the TEDx model of licensing, where we have companies actually license S.H.E Summit, and they bring us into their company to curate the content, having to do it, with the speakers and actually defining what the agenda is, so that they have a women's empowerment and leadership conference, which is probably my favorite part of what I do. But I also, the main part of S.H.E Summit, of course, overseeing all of the logistics of the event in terms of everything having to do with the event. My main responsibility is securing partnerships. So, I've worked with people or companies such as Motrin from J&J, and also we've worked with, Bacardi is a big partner. This past year, we've worked with a lot of people on Wall Street. So I'm certainly very familiar with executing partnership strategies, and would be happy to talk to anyone about that, because that's more what I do on a day-to-day basis when I'm not actually in the planning of S.H.E Summit phase right before the event. It takes place in October. So right now we're in the lull of the year. So prior to S.H.E Globl, I've been there for 3.5 years. And prior to that, I did some paralegal work. And before that, I actually came right out of college. So I'm fairly new in my career, but S.H.E Summit has become something that I've worked on very hard, I've worked on a lot, and I'm very proud of it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything having to do with the event as well.
Cool. Thank you. What do you think sets S.H.E Summit and S.H.E Globl apart from all the different women's offerings out there right now? And how do you kind of stand out? And right now there are, a multitude of offerings for women's empowerment, which is amazing. But
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that the market is pretty saturated when it comes to women's organizations, which can be a good thing. Maybe not so much for the people who are actually trying to monetize, but it's a good thing that, this has become a focus over the last couple of years, and that we're really investing in women's empowerment and gender equality. I think what makes S.H.E Globl and S.H.E Summit stand out is that we really have a holistic approach to activating change agents inside organizations. So what we do is our content is really about educating people about women's issues. So, someone who may not necessarily be very activated in the women's empowerment movement may attend the conference, and they're going to expand their education about the social impact world and what's going on with women's issues. And a lot of times their eyes are really opened, and we try and activate them to then become involved in a particular movement. So that's one piece of it. So while we're actually educating people on gender equality issues, we're also providing personal and professional development. So a lot of times leadership conferences definitely focus on professional leadership, and I think that is so important, absolutely. But we also believe that leadership has to do with personal leadership and the things that are happening in your life. So it's important to address, what kind of complex relationships are happening with maybe your partner or your sibling or your parents, and how that affects your leadership. We also address fertility. We address all different kinds of very intimate issues. So I think that definitely differentiates us from the pack. In general, I think the most important way to differentiate yourself when you're in the women's world is through, whatever kind of structure or vehicle you're using in order to execute your mission. So, you may have this mission that you want to close the gender pay gap, right? I mean, that's so important, but how are you going to do that? There's so many organizations that are working that way. I mean, take Girls Who Code, for example, amazing organization, and Reshma Sajani basically realized that girls were very invested and very good at technology when they're younger, but then after after high school, they really just decide they're not interested anymore. So and while this is, it's not a new idea, everybody knows that that's really how it's been, but her approach actually focused more on getting corporate partners to invest in those girls. And because of the nature of society right now, it was a really hot way to get people involved. So I think it's definitely looking at the culture, looking at what is your unique, authentic angle, and leading and living that way.
Awesome. So I guess in that vein, how do you guys curate your events and select speakers and content?
Sure. So it's a very lengthy process. We have an editorial committee who reviews tons and tons of proposals that we get from amazing women. There are so many women out there. It's wonderful to be part of the editorial committee because there are so many women doing so many amazing things. So it's wonderful to see that. Obviously, I wish we could put them all on our stage, but we only have 50 spots per year. And basically what we do is in about January, so that's, I guess, 10 months in advance, we kind of decide, all right, here are a couple of topics that we think are really going to be hot button issues come October. And we start curating an agenda. But that being said, our agenda is not completed until a month in advance of the conference, because there are just so many issues and so many changes that happen throughout the year in terms of the women's movement. I mean, last year, the Me Too movement basically came about 2 weeks before the event, and we had to curate a conversation on that, of course, because it was so important. So things are always changing, and I get asked a lot, what makes a particular speaking proposal stand out, or how do you pick your speakers? And of course, there are a lot of different criteria, but I think the most important is looking at the world and society and culture and the nature of our time right now and saying, this is an issue that's happening, and this is how I can speak to it. And this is how I will bring my authenticity and my authentic voice to this issue. And this is why I can talk about it, and writing a proposal about that. I think, I receive a lot of proposals that are about generic issues. And of course they're important issues, but there's so many, that is a very saturated space. There's so many work-life balance experts. There's so many, there's so many financial experts, but looking at the world of women right now, which is changing, and what is no one talking about? What have I not seen in the news that we need to have on our stage this year, right? So I think that's really important, and that's definitely the way to get noticed and get on a global stage.
Okay. Yeah. So, are there any tips you could give for how to get in front of someone like yourself, event producers, or how to create an amazing, powerful pitch that will get noticed?
Sure. So a couple of things that our editorial committee looks for. Unfortunately, it is true. We do look at people's social media followings. That being said, that is not always, our best speakers sometimes don't have strong social media followings. We have this one speaker, Wade Davis, who in the very beginning, when we first met him, had no following, and we heard him, but we got video footage of him and saw him speak, and it changed everything. And he was one of the best speakers we've ever seen, and we've had him on our stage for the past 3 years. I think video footage is the most important thing that you can send somebody. Sure, you can write about how passionate you are and write a really passionate letter. When you're applying to a conference that gets a lot of proposals, the shorter the pitch, the better, I think. And just putting as close to the top as possible any of your, any words that people would just their eye would be drawn to in terms of the topic, and also in terms of any press you've received. If I'm looking at it and I see, oh, you spoke at Forbes Women's Conference this last year, that means somebody else has already done a vetting process. So you're probably going to get pushed to the top a little bit more. I think that, but video footage truly, there are times where there's someone that we've never heard of, but we see a video of them and it changes everything, and they'll be booked immediately. So video footage is very important. I also think, obviously who you know is important in this world, in terms of getting a speaking opportunity. There are some times where past speakers will recommend a speaker to me, and I will always get on the phone with them, because out of respect for those past speakers. So if you know somebody who has spoken at that conference, it would be great if you could have them make a personal introduction to whoever that team member was, as opposed to just sending a pitch over. I also recommend sending any and all links that you have, but not necessarily, and not necessarily putting everything into the body of the email. When I get a very long email, it's very hard for me to read through it when you're just reading a ton of them all the time. So if you link to your bio and link to all these articles that you've either written or that you've been featured in, if you have a book, things like that, those are all really important components. But I also think it's very important to very, very quickly spell out whatever topic it is that you think that you can speak to, and why it's different, and why you're the right person to speak to it.
Cool. And then I guess kind of also for people that might be interested in pursuing speaking or being a speaker at these sort of events, how much should they charge, and how do you pay your speakers?
Sure. No, it's definitely a complex issue, I think, because much like a lot of you, I'm sure, you're female founders or you're working at a small business. There are all different kinds of conferences. Now, of course, there's the Pennsylvania Conference for Women, or conferences that are backed by big media companies like Hearst or the New York Times, which have massive budgets, and they can pay all of their speakers, I'm sure. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm sure that's what it is. If you have Shonda Rhimes speaking, she's not speaking without getting paid. So, but then, it's important to also really do your research, I think, because for conferences that are smaller, that are really entrepreneur run, they don't always pay. And you really have to do your research into it, because sometimes not being paid is still okay, I think. And I know that sounds awful, but it depends on, the PR opportunity that you have. There are two reasons I think that people speak. One is because they're truly they want to build a business and create a new revenue stream through their speaking. And then the other one is really to gain PR to kind of, and leverage that PR to make them be an expert in the field, and to get people to then come and be their clients. So I think that if the second one is your circumstances, you should certainly look and do research into conferences. And even if they're not going to pay you, it might be worth doing if they have a very coveted audience, or they're going to give you great brand exposure. There are other benefits to that. But if you're looking for a new revenue stream, I actually think that most speakers that I'm familiar with are really getting paid to speak at conferences like the Pennsylvania Women's Conference or those big budget conferences, or they're going to corporations at like a pharmaceutical company, something that's definitely not sexy, and getting paid $30,000, right? Because they have the funds to do it. I think it's always very tricky because if you're working with the Speakers Bureau, they can tell you how much what's realistic and how much you're worth, and or how much the market will pay for you, right? I think that's always it's always great to work with the Speakers Bureau. And also, when we see a speaker that's working with the Speakers Bureau, we automatically know that they've been vetted again by someone else, and so we're going to give them more attention. But I do think that there definitely, you definitely need to do your research about different conferences, because some of them may not be able to pay you, but they will be able to provide a value that might be even more important.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, definitely. I think maybe kind of switching gears a little bit towards the event production side of things. What do you think, kind of in broad terms, it takes to develop and produce a successful event?
So obviously, working in events can be very stressful, particularly because there's so many different logistics, and there's so many things going on at once. And in the month leading up to the conference, it's crunch time and you just don't have a life. That's basically how it goes. But I think what makes conferences really successful is the mission and how you can execute that mission. So, the goal of our conference is really, we think about how can we best serve people, right? How can we best serve the people who attend our conference? So when we're creating our content, we're curating the experience, we're picking partners, it's always with that in mind. How can we best serve our audience? How can we do that? And as long as you keep that in mind, I think that people care less about the smaller things that might go wrong, because of course you can't please everyone, and that's something I've definitely learned over doing quite a few events now. But you really just need to stick to whatever your mission is and have absolute clarity around that, and around how you can really improve the lives of the people that attend, because that's why people, or at least in She Summit's case, people attend She Summit for the content. And it's because, and I know I'm certainly biased, but I really believe that we have superior content. And so the other things are absolutely, we try very hard to create an excellent experience, but we know that we best serve people by providing absolutely transformational content at the conference. And people are going to walk in and they're going to sit in the audience, and they're going to have the tools when they leave, and they're going to be so inspired that they're going to go drive change. If they're an entrepreneur, they're going to have a new idea, and they're going to execute on that. Or if they're an entrepreneur at a corporation, they're inspired to actually drive change within the corporate structure. They're all different types of, I think that, there are different ways to measure success of an event. And of course, it's how many tickets you sell and how many partners you have and how much revenue you generate. But I think that at the end of the day, staying true to your mission and thinking about how you best serve the people who attend is the most important criteria.
Definitely. And then what about also serving people that you might have as sponsors or partners, and how do you develop those relationships?
Develop partnerships?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really interesting, because I think in this day and age, all of these companies are really they're less about selling, or the marketing is less about selling the product and the value of the product. They're really trying to sell you what the company values are, because millennials care way more about what a company's values are, men and women, it's not just women, than they do about how great that product actually is. So what you need to do is identify in whatever field you're in, right? You might be from widget, if you're selling a widget, or you're, a leadership coach, and you're putting on an event. In order to find the right partner, you really need to just you have to think about what are the right partners that I want to align my brand with so that it's a win-win for the people who attend, for me, because I get, my conference subsidized, basically, they're helping to subsidize costs, and also for the partner. And you have to be able to articulate to the partner what the value is of participating in the conference. So that's also, again, going back to having clarity on the mission and who attends. That's really essential. There are all different kinds of brands are trying to align themselves with everything from wellness to parental leave to leadership to diversity, and whatever it is. You just have to identify who those partners are, what the work is that they're doing. You have to do that research and then reach out to them with a pitch that really shows why your conference is so in alignment with what they're doing and why it's essential for them to be there. If they're really saying that they're going to invest in that particular aspect of their company, like for instance, Audi is one of our partners, and they have, their whole mission is equal pay, getting women and men to have equal pay. And so it is essential you can't just say it, you have to walk your talk. And it's really important to make sure when you're speaking with partners that they understand that that's what they have to do, because for instance, Audi put out their commercial during the Super Bowl last year saying that they're pro equal pay, but then there was a lot of backlash because people went to their website and saw their entire board was men. And they were like, really? Are you actually for, equal pay and gender equality? And it's because they hadn't really shown that they'd invested in women at all, besides by putting out a commercial, which was just straight up empowerment marketing. So I think that that's really the angle to leverage. And then to be able to articulate why it's so important, what makes your event so different, but so perfect in terms of alignment.
Yeah, definitely. I guess, could you maybe elaborate on how you do show that your event is different or unique or can serve the partner to close that deal?
Well, I think a lot, I can give you an example, and I can also, I think a lot of it has to do with the research that goes in before the call. And then also, getting a partner on a call is, or a potential partner on the call is difficult. And it's, when I do partnership calls, I probably have, we probably reach out to 200 people and get 15 responses, and then 2 of them end up becoming partners. It's not easy to do. It's not something simple. Unless you're getting a product donation, that's different. But when you're asking for money, because you really have to show what the value is. And so, creating a deck is really important to be able to, basically, even the shorter, the better. I think we have a 3-page deck, and it really just shows, this is what SHE Summit is. These are the amazing speakers, and this is the kind of content that we have. And this is what you get for becoming a sponsor. And so you just have to identify, based on your event, what is it that matters to that particular sponsor, because as much as you can create generic levels for partnerships, every partner is going to want something customized, because that's the nature of partnerships, unfortunately. But you just have to be able to identify what parts of the conference can be sold, right? What can be branded, and what can be branded, and why is that important to this partner? And so you have to get creative about that. And that differs per event. It depends on the event space. It depends on who's attending. It really does depend on the event, but you have to do the work to really figure out what those different levels are. And then, there isn't a way, at SHE Summit, we have not seen a way that people are able to just put a specific price on a level. Really the best way to do that, and the way that we've done it, is looking at conferences that are comparable in terms of attendees and size and content, and looking at, and just from our community, And a lot of times people will put their decks online just so any partner can see them. And that's really how we get the research, and we know, okay, so this is where we should be in this ballpark in terms of our sponsorships. I think that kind of research is so important. Partnerships, definitely, you definitely have to schmooze people, but it has to do a lot with the research that goes in prior to any kind of communication.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think that's it for my question. So I wanted to open it up to everyone else. And I guess if you want to just maybe message me and then I can unmute you if you have a question, or I think you're able to raise your hand. I'm not sure how that works. So whatever's easiest. See.
I think we can all unmute ourselves. So.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. Does anyone want to start?
I see a question from Tina here that says, I wanted to ask about what methods of social media she finds most effective. I'm not sure what do you mean in terms of marketing or in terms of?
In terms of marketing. So let's assume it's your first time throwing, like the first S.H.E Globl, people didn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
What was and you can advertise anywhere, but was there a particular place you found most effective?
So what we find most effective is marketing partnerships. So the way we first started out was by creating this community of partners that are other women's organizations who have networks already that they're willing to reach out or basically promote the conference in exchange for, a ticket, or, I don't know what it could be, anything, a speaking opportunity. That's really, I think, mostly effective. It depends on what kind of event it is. If it's a leadership event, I think actually LinkedIn is one of the more effective social media platforms. That's what we found in terms of ticket sales. We also have found that Instagram has been very effective. Not as much Facebook and Twitter, but they still, you should certainly still use them to market your event, because they're all different types of audiences on each platform, and they're all used for different reasons. So Twitter for us is really used to connect with new speakers and to figure out who's really leading the conversation on, parental leave, and what companies are really talking about, gender diversity and things like that. Whereas LinkedIn is really where we're posting about the conference and getting companies to understand why it's important to send their employees. But if you are doing more of a lifestyle event, I think Instagram is much more important, because everybody, and it also depends on the age range of who you're trying to target. If you're trying to target younger girls, people who are in high school and college, I think that they're really on Instagram a lot. A little bit older, maybe a little more Facebook and even some Twitter. But I think it all depends, but marketing partnerships are certainly what we have found to be the most effective
that makes sense. I like that.
Ticket sales.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask, in the same vein, have you had much luck in getting, press and media coverage or buzz, and what has been effective in doing that?
So in the past, we have mostly we get press when we have big speakers. So for instance, we had Sophia Bush this past year, and she had a lot of press around her involvement. The year before that, we had Kelly Clarkson, and there was so much press around her involvement. So that's really what has been the main driver of press for our conference. That being said, we do have someone who manages press for the event, and always before the event, they reach out to their contacts and invite them, and they pitch stories as well. I think getting press for an event is very difficult when you don't have a particular, when somebody hasn't already been, or you just have to really have a good press person who can think about what type of content is going to be on stage, and how they can actually turn that into an article and something that's relevant in the news today. So I think I mean, this past year we did have a really great article, which I was really proud. I was really happy came out, even though, I mean, Sophia Bush Press was great, but we had one with Pat Mitchell, and it was basically in 7 words. The title was like, in 7 words, Pat Mitchell explains how women can be successful, or something like that. And it was a really powerful article. And so it's important to get them in the room. So just to comp tickets and invite them, and to have someone there on site to help manage and connect them with speakers if they want to have interviews. But second of all, having a press person who's very strategic in terms of who knows the content that will be on stage and can think about, and they can really tie it into what's happening in the world today and why it's essential to write an article on that.
Right.
But press is hard. That's one of the more difficult parts, I think.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Cool. Thanks.
Absolutely.
I've got a question about attendees. So
Sure.
you can plan a great event. How do you ensure people will show up? Or, I mean, I know sometimes when you sell tickets, people have skin in the game, but so how did you hack that process?
Yes. So that's always the big question, right? It's always terrifying. So the way that we really sell our tickets for the conference for S.H.E Summit is that corporations buy big packages, which is terrifying because then people don't have skin in the game, right? They didn't put their own money towards that ticket, so it doesn't matter. But generally, we really try to, leading up to the event, connect with them and show them different types of content that they're going to experience. And we try and articulate with our marketing strategy why it's so essential, why they might need that particular type of content. I also have conversations with all of our partners about what the company culture is like and what is most important to them. And we get people to, we'll write some sort of content piece that will get passed out to the employees and everyone at the company, actually, because everyone has access to the live stream as well. And we try and get them hooked on the content. That's really what it is. But we have not, I mean, I will tell you that is always, I mean, the week before the event, I don't sleep because I'm so afraid people aren't going to show up. But I think booking big name speakers and speakers that are going to promote to their own audiences, and then, people, and just depending that, or hoping, I guess, that those people are really going to show up because they want to see that speaker. That's really what I can give you there. I'm so sorry.
No, that's great. That was helpful. Thank you.
It's always the big question.
I guess that's like that for any event. You can plan a pretty picnic, but what if it rains?
Exactly. There's always that. What if no one shows?
I can keep asking questions, so I'll just keep going. Oh, do you have a question? Yeah.
I actually have a question. Hi, Katie. I just want to say, first of all, this call has been so helpful, and I just really am enjoying the conversation, and I feel like the questions have been really great, and your answers have been so on point and transparent, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I did have one question. I really appreciated the question about as a speaker, about compensation. So I am a speaker, an accidental speaker. So I started off as an author and really just wanted to stay on the page.
Yeah.
But quickly realized that speaking was a really great tool to reaching readers and getting my book out to the world. So I have been speaking for the past 4 years across the country, and it's been really great. The one stumbling block that I've come across is around compensation, and it's really about, I think, the issue that women don't want to talk about money, right?
Right.
And that's part of why women make less money. So in the spirit of just total transparency, I speak at some conferences and I don't get paid, and that's totally okay, because again, for me, I'm not trying to build I'm not trying to monetize that much. Like, I really am about using this as a PR and marketing tool to reach my readers, build my platform, and ultimately sell more books as I continue to my career as an author. Having said that, at some conferences I do get paid, and I just was wondering, but again, it's like nobody ever wants to talk about it. No one ever wants to name numbers, and so I just was wondering if you could share sort of what the range that you pay speakers is.
Oh, sure. So it really depends. It really depends on the speaker, right? So generally, I mean, there are people in our community that get paid, again, like $30,000. We've never paid a fee that high ever because we're an entrepreneurial organization. But generally, I mean, our speaker fees are very low. Because we're not backed by a big thing, a big media company. I think if you're somebody who is really highly sought after, you know, I mean, you can really, if you have a platform, if you have followers on social media, and I mean enough that there are people that are listening to you, and somebody can look at your profile and say, oh, she has a following. If she attends this conference and markets it, there's a value to that. Right? So that's really important. And that's one thing to keep in mind and when you're thinking about how much you should be getting paid. You have a book out, that's huge. Having a book out like that means that you've published something that you're an expert, right? In what that is. And so that's really important. That also increases your value. I think that if you're somebody who is not has not spoken at any major, and I don't know what you've done, but someone who's maybe not spoken at any major conferences in the past, like, you know, some of the big, and I don't, what is your area of expertise?
So my book is about, it's a career memoir, and it's about finding what you want to do as told through my transition from working in financial services to teaching yoga. So it's all about finding your path, stepping into your most fulfilling life, and finding that empowerment.
Yes.
Teach topics related to that, like stress reduction in the corporate world for people who are still stuck in the corporate world or who love the corporate world and want to stay.
Right.
All sort of aspects of corporate wellness and
okay. No, that's very important. So it sounds to me like you really should be, I mean, it sounds like you should probably be in like the $5,000 range per speaking engagement. I mean, in the spirit of transparency. That's I think what we would do in that circumstance. I mean, that again, I haven't seen all of your stuff, so I'm sorry that I can't really give I can't do that. But you know, you have a book, if you have a social media following, if you have a topic that's very unique, it isn't really what everyone's what everyone's talking about. So I'm sorry if that's not great advice, but that's what I would think.
No, that's super helpful, because I also appreciated what you said earlier about very, very early in the conversation when you were saying that you had the one guy who, when you started off working with him, he really didn't have any presence on social media, but he was this incredibly compelling speaker.
Yeah.
And through working with you, he's actually gained a following. And so I think I'm sort of more in that category, because again, I had my head down writing my book, right? Like,
yeah,
I was actually
of course
focused on that, and I wasn't building a social media presence. So I have like 2,000 followers on Instagram, a little over 2,000. But when I sort of stuck my head up after the book came out and was like, oh, social media is the thing. Like, I need to be doing that. Now I'm actively working on building that, but I'm not someone who has the the 100,000 followers where people would look at that and be like, oh, she has 100,000 followers. She can get, 10,000 people in this room or 1,000 people in this room or whatever.
Right.
I think my value is really that, and I've spoken at the Massachusetts Conference for Women, which are the same people that put on the Pennsylvania Conference for Women, the Texas Conference for Women. So I've spoken there. I've spoken at some really big events like the LA Film Festival and all sorts of things. But my strength is not in my social media followers. And so I was sort of, that's where I sort of find the challenge of negotiating with people, because I think in today's world, a lot of conference founders don't have your wisdom in terms of they just are looking straight only at the numbers. Yeah. And so I'm trying to thread that needle in a more subtle way and get them to see the value that I bring to the table otherwise.
So what I would do is I would really highlight the conferences that you've spoken at. And I would really also highlight your topic and your book. Any press around your book, I would really make sure that that's front and center. I do think that working on your social media following is important, just because a lot of people do just strictly look at that in terms of, we want people to buy tickets, so who should we have come and speak? But if you have video footage of you speaking, and you probably do because you've been at a lot of other speaking events, you should really be sending that. That's what you should be sending. And I would even consider investing in a sizzle reel.
Awesome. And it's funny, that's actually on my list of things to do
Yeah.
this year and I am working actively on the social media because I realized that that is important because of course you want to sell tickets.
Yeah.
And I've doubled my social media following in the past year and I'm also really focusing on my mailing list because what I've learned is that while my following is smaller, they're really passionate and bought in, like they trust
absolutely.
me. So I still get people in the room. Like I personally get people in the room. Like I will sell tickets for you. But again, it's not that 100,000 followers or whatever, where it's an instant, like, oh my God, of course.
Right.
But I have, that experience or whatever. And I do think that the video footage or the speaking reel is on my list of 2018 goals. So thank you for that.
That's worth investing in and using that as the main component of your pitch. Because video is just, there's something about seeing it, and seeing your skills. And not only just that, when I get something and I have to read through something all like so long, I'm like, oh, I don't I have so many of these to do. I don't want to do it. Right. But I want to give everyone a fair chance. But if I'm watching something, I'm eating and I can watch and see how awesome you are. Right. And then I'm like, all right, maybe I should read this person's bio. So I definitely think the video footage is so essential. And I know that's really important to us. So, and I'm sure it's important in other conferences. So I would certainly do that.
This is so helpful. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
That was such a helpful question for me to hear too. So thank you, Sarah.
Oh, good. Thanks, Casey.
Hi, Katie. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I have a specific question actually about speaker bureaus. So you mentioned speaker bureaus and speaker agencies and stuff. I'm just wondering if there are any that stick out in your mind as like, oh, they always have really kick-ass people in them, or I love seeing this name because I know that they have the really, really good ones vetted and that kind of thing.
Yes. Washington Speakers Bureau. That's immediately the one that comes to mind. They rep basically some of the highest quality speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a program too where they will rep you, but they won't guarantee that you get a certain amount until you've booked a certain amount of, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something that's for people who have excellent quality, but don't necessarily get sought out to speak as often. And it gets them to the point where they are then sought out to speak and they will start pitching you to people. So
Fabulous.
I would look into them, Washington Speakers Bureau. Whenever I see that's who reps somebody, that's huge. Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Maybe we have time for like one more question.
And if I don't get to answer anyone's questions, I don't know if anyone has my email, but I'm happy to answer any email questions. If you shoot them over email, I'm happy to answer them also.
Yeah, and we'll send out a follow-up email tomorrow with your email, assuming that's okay with you, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Able to reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free. I'd be happy to. And I'd be happy to chat with anyone on the phone separately too. This is a downtime for me, so I'm happy to do whatever I can to support you guys. But let's take the rest of the time unless there are any other questions, to do quick introductions. Unless there are any other questions, I don't want to cut anyone off.
That works. I can just go down the list and let's see. You want to start with you, Casey, if you're ready?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Casey Clark. I run Vital Voice Training. We're a voice and speech coaching company actually. So we do work with speakers, both beginning speakers and advanced speakers. And whether you're speaking in front of a gigantic audience at a huge conference or whether you just want to be more confident one-on-one. So I refer to myself as a semi-recovering professional actor. So I bring the skills of the actor to non-actors and non-theater people, and love speaking at conferences, would like to do a whole lot more of it. So cheers to that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, Gian, is that how you say your name?
Oh. Can you guys hear her?
Unfortunately, I can't.
No.
You're not muted.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, there we go. Now we have you.
I'll just keep talking. I don't know what made it work. So my name's Gian Doherty. I'm an entrepreneur out of Boston. I talk about clean, non-toxic beauty, wellness. I also have my own wellness conference, Well Summit. So I was listening with both ears. Thank you so much, ladies. It's awesome.
Where does your conference take place?
New York and Boston.
Cool. Okay, so Sarah, are you? Make sure.
Hi, can you hear me? I just got to notice that you went to. I just got to notice that you went to unmute me, so I was unmuting. So hi everybody, I'm Sarah DeBello, and I am an author and yoga teacher and national speaker. My first book came out in 2013, and I've been on the road since then, speaking at everything from the LA Film Festival to the Well Summit, which Gian has founded. Hi, Gian. And the Massachusetts Conference for Women, the Nantucket Yoga Festival, the Maine Yoga Festival. I do it all from the East Coast to the West Coast. And when I'm home, I'm working on my next book. And when I'm on the road, I'm speaking about finding your path and the courage to step into your most fulfilling life, as well as tools to for artists and writers to make creativity more accessible for them, because I know we all can start to feel like stuck. And then also just tools to use to de-stress at your desk. So I speak in-house at a lot of large companies, which Katie, you were saying is where the money really is, which is totally true. And so I teach the tools that have worked the best for me to lower your stress, sleep better at night, and really thrive, even when you're still in the corporate world.
Awesome. Okay, Jill, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. I don't know if I took myself off the dashboard somehow, so I don't know if I've been visible the whole time or not, but I'm still here. Katie, thank you so much. I appreciate what you've offered us for 2 reasons. One, I've attended your summit. It's awesome. It really is awesome. And two, I used to have your job at another company, so I know exactly what comes into it. Another speaker bureau that's great, by the way, is Terry Walker Agency. I think she asked that question. And the last thing I'll say before I actually introduce myself is I can't believe how much many of you I know and how awesome you all are. Well Summit's amazing too. I was a speaker at there a couple years ago. So I am the founder of the Career Passport. It is a boutique startup that focuses on individuals helping women understand that they don't have to have a dream job and have everything together all the time, and you can like your job just fine and pour your love into the rest of your life. And I also work on the corporate side, helping companies engage millennial talent and provide a path to leadership, which with all my private clients I've worked with is the major concern millennials and mid-career people have, that there is no path to leadership within their company. And that's probably why I haven't done the stats yet. I was going to do it and I didn't get to it today. Why probably about 90% of my clients over the last 4 years have wanted to leave their jobs. It's not always toxic environments. It's no path to leadership, no path to growth. And Erin is my copywriter, and she's awesome too if you need copywriting expertise. All right, that's it. That's me.
Thank you. I think there's one person on here who just has their phone number, and I can't see their name. So,
Alexandra, that's actually Gian. She just messaged the group over to the right. But I think Erin didn't go yet.
Yeah, Erin, do you want to go?
So I'm Erin, and as Jill mentioned, my primary function currently is as a writer and editor. I mostly work with startups and entrepreneurs to help them with their content creation and content marketing. I previously helped build the Muse for 5.5 years and left that job in February to explore my own path. And so have been freelancing on the side, and I am here both because I'm interested in hopefully one day moving into some event work, but also because I'm actually helping Geshe improve and create more opportunities like this for dreamers and doers. So if anyone has feedback or thoughts about today's event or office hours in general, please share them with me. I'll be following up in an email with all of you tomorrow. sharing everyone's email on the call so you can connect with each other, but also, feel free to give me frank thoughts in that email about what you think about these events.
Awesome. Okay. I think we all went. So this is a great call. I just want to thank Katie again for her time and all of her insights. It was really helpful to me as well. So really appreciate that. And I look forward to connecting with all of you more. And good to see some of you that I know already. And yeah, I guess, Erin, is there anything else we need to do before closing out?
Nope. Thank you all for being here in a busy week.
Yes, thank you so much. This was lovely. And again, if anyone wants to connect with me about anything, my email will be in that follow-up tomorrow. So feel free to reach out.
This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
You're so welcome. Absolutely. Thanks so much. And you guys are all rock stars. I can, from your introduction, I took some notes, and you're all such rock stars. So I'm glad that, I got to speak to some rock stars today.
Yay. Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.